Next match, Mr. Strong. Strong here. Strong and Decamp playing on court 2. Mr. Conway and Mr. Self, you'll be playing on court 8.
Good morning.
Good court out here. That's why I keep my eye on Mr. Conway. Where's 8?
I started as a youngster, played it and through college, and 25 years I didn't play tennis because I was raising a family and starting a business, and the community didn't have any tennis courts.
Tennis has been my favorite game since I was 7 years old. Started at 8. I was just a little kid.
Well, I've played since I was 12 years old. I used to get out on the playground at every opportunity, and actually in my teen years in Los Angeles, during the summertime I'd play 8 hours a day.
I was a coach in a club, but this is so many years ago. But I retired already from professional tennis in 48.
It balanced my work, which was as an executive sitting at a desk and all day and biting your fingernails, being under strain maybe, and so tennis was a good balance as a hobby.
I played as a boy and then stopped when I went to work and started again after I was in the 65s.
I have played these tournaments since I got into the 65 division.
And when I retired, I knew that I wanted to play senior competitive tennis because I got exposed to it in Knoxville, Tennessee when I was 63, and I was just absolutely committed then to do this when I retired, which was 2 years later, because they were having so much fun.
Well, I've for a long time been a member of a group called Super Senior Tennis, which has its own organization. It publishes a bi-monthly newsletter with all of the information about the tournaments in it. When a lot of the 85 group started to turn 90, they asked the Super Senior board to intervene with the USTA to see whether they would set up another age group. And this did come about approximately 5 years ago.
This tournament is at Longwood is a tradition from goes back to last part of last century, and they treat you absolutely great here. They just treat you like you're royalty.
We've seen them come from the 70s to the 75s to the 80s to the 85s, and it's always nice to see the men that do return.
We drove, 1,500 miles to come to this tournament.
And they come from all over the country. We have one man who comes in his RV. He drove it from California. And he stays in the parking lot, he plugs it into the electricity out there, and I guess he must travel the country doing these tournaments. But he does it in his RV.
Initially, when we started out, we had 16 doubles players, 8 teams. And unfortunately, because of one fellow came up with tendonitis and another fellow had an emergency at home, they had to drop out. We ended up with 7 teams in doubles, but there's 14 players, age 90 or over, and they're having a very, very good competition.
Grass and clay, hard court and indoor, 4 surfaces.
Grass is perhaps not the most popular, but it's sometimes the most interesting and sometimes the most fun to be at because it's not a completely familiar surface for some of the players.
This is the only time we have opportunity to play grass in the entire year. It's a unique surface, one that's very seldom used anymore because it's so expensive to maintain these courts.
The grass is wonderful on your body, on your hips, on your knees. It's just so soft.
The ball doesn't bounce. You have to move up and get closer.
Oh, it's fun to play, but it's awful.
You get some awful bounces.
The ball does tend to skid when it hits. It bounces low.
Run a lot more, especially in singles.
But it takes a great deal of accuracy and especially anticipation, I think, to know where that ball is going to be when you have to hit it. Much more so on grass, I think, than on any other surface.
In the clay, after it bounces, it stays in the air long enough to give you an extra second to get to it. On the grass, it's in the air for a very short time after it bounces. It's up and down, and it spins, and it twirls.
When my wife and I are walking around somewhere, maybe in the mall or in a grocery store shopping, and I start to get tired, she says, well, you'd do better if you had a tennis racket in your hand.
We can't hit the ball hard anymore, but we can utilize the entire court, short balls, long balls, angle balls, lobbing.
I do have a favorite shot, especially on grass. I hit a pretty good drop shot, and it's deadly. It goes over the net and then dies. And usually it winds up making your opponents mad at you. They hate you.
Yeah, my backhand is the best one. Now nothing works anymore.
See, they've had senior tournaments starting at 35, and they go all the way up to every 5 years you move up. So the first year you're in a new bracket, you better win it then.
I play because I like the game. I like the feel of hitting the ball. I like the sound of the ball meeting your racket. And it's just something that I like to do.
Tennis has had a tremendous effect on my life and probably the lives of my family as well. Norma likes to say she just tags along as a follower and does the laundry, which is, I must say, quite important on these trips. Aside from that, tennis is really almost part of our everyday lives.
I'm 91, and I'll probably continue on as long as I can make it to the tournaments.
Believe it or not, it's a thinking man's game, and the challenge is to try to find out what your opponent's weaknesses are, and also try to hide your own weaknesses.
I think that one of the things that is most outstanding about this tournament, whether it's the 85 or the 90s, but especially the 90s, is that it is a wonderful illustration of tennis as a lifetime sport. These fellows playing in these age groups, although they're not as fast and mobile as they were in their younger years, they still have so many tennis skills. They have wonderful strokes, and it's an example of how if you pick up this game, if you start young in life or even pick it up after you're retired, there's still competition, there's still opportunity to do well. And as a matter of fact, what other sport at age 90 years old can you become a national champion?
Seeing these friends is as important today as playing the game of tennis.
It's fun, and I love the competition.
And, it's just a kind of a camaraderie between a bunch of old guys.
And it is a wonderful group. The healthiest group you can find.
I want to stop already 2 years ago, but then I said, oh, this is such a nice club here, we go and play one more time.
I've played over 80 national tournaments and traveled the world, Australia, Europe, Canada, Bermuda, and enjoyed Japan and enjoyed every tournament I've ever played. Thoroughly enjoyed tennis.
This is a prize from the club, from Longwood. And these, Oldwell is the one they really cut. 2006 USTA National Men's 90s Grass Court. This is doubles championship. And of course there's one for the singles championship. 2 for the doubles. We guard these carefully.
Yeah, I think all of these people here today are people who like to compete. They want to win. They're all here to win.
But beyond the competition, there's a friendship that these men have been playing tennis with each other, against each other for 20, 30, maybe 40 years in some cases. You know. And it's as much a social activity and a friendship activity. A lot of the wives and family come along with them. We see the same folks here in the porch at Longwood enjoying the matches. And it's a very nice gathering. And in amongst that, we play some very good tennis.